This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each and every week we take a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of all things wrestling video games. My name is George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash. And today we are breaking down the best and worst of mini games in wrestling games. We're also going to discuss AEW's Figure Fighters and our new show, Oh My God, and a whole lot more.
And as always, please make sure to subscribe and leave a rating for this podcast wherever you choose to listen. Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever that may be. And make sure to follow along on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. And don't forget, you can get access to show notes, early and ad-free shows. You can be in the chat right now as we record this episode. If you join our Patreon, patreon.com/pod exchange. It's PODXCHANGE, and you get access to everything that I just listed for this show, and you get Patreon exclusive content from Going Postal and State of Affairs. That's Swoggle and Captain Joe Shoes.
That show is off the rails, and I love every aspect of it.
They keep saying that they want one of us to step in and be a moderator, like on the episodes.
They're doing just fine.
And I think that's part of the fun of the show. Like, Dylan's just like, you or Clash. He doesn't say Clash. I just don't do it as good as he does. Carouse. He always says, you or Carouse got to step in and be a moderator on these episodes. And I don't, one, they're on a timer. Like, they set the clock, they moderate themselves. And two, I think that's part of the fun and the appeal of that podcast is that it's chaos. But like you were saying, it is chaos, but also one of the more infuriating podcasts because Dylan's got such strong opinions,
and you just want to like yell and disagree and agree with them, like, yeah, fuck you, fuck McDonald's, like, but you just can't. But I let them have it after each episode anyway and share my opinions.
Oh man, it's a fun podcast. I enjoy it. But yes, You get all that content in Patreon, but we digress. John, let's talk about last week. Super Fire Pro Wrestling 2 for the Super Famicom. One of the videos that we posted on social media said is that the Super Fire Pro Wrestling 2, the best cartridge-based Fire Pro game.
There were a lot of opinions on that one. Because, there's quite a bit. I very much enjoyed it.
I stick with it. I enjoyed it very much. Have gone back and have played more of it. It was fun. Love a Fire Pro game. And I don't know, every time we do these early ones, it's just, I think we even said this in the episode. It's just nice to play them and see how far that the lineage, the legacy of Fire Pro has come.
Like I said, it's the simplicity of popping in a cartridge. You're able to be in the game within 5 minutes and you're rolling. You're going.
It's awesome.
That's it. That was what was so beautiful about the cartridge era. We're in the digital era, so it's there, but sometimes there's some massive downloads and all that. Yeah, but
install Fortnite. It's like
I don't think it's
50 gigs.
Like Soups is in our chat right now. It says it's not even top 3 with X and the 2 Game Boy Advance games.
See?
No, it's not. But for the time, for what you're getting, for what it did, the critical system, all of that, it's all there. It's just a big step forward. I digress. Let's talk about Figure Fighters. Have you dove in any more to this game?
I have not. I played a lot during the beta, the alpha, whichever it was, closed access.
It's a beta.
But haven't yet dove in. I'm back into an old favorite.
Uh-oh.
Been jumping back into Marvel Snap.
Yes.
It's got its claws back in me again. So
I don't think my claws ever left.
I know,
been rolling strong here.
Watching you and Germ in the Discord talk about and share your what loadouts you're running, decks you're running, and I'm just like, I think I want to play this game again. And yeah.
Yep, it's great. But Figure Fighters has been a lot of fun, but you definitely do hit that wall of where you're like, all right, I don't really feel like playing this anymore because it's the same thing over and over again. You know,
I am going to reinstall it. Oh no, I still have the. Oh no, I can't.
It's not going to let you play it.
Yeah, I still have the demo or the beta installed.
Yeah, no, but I enjoy it. I like looking at like the characters and what they look like as these figures that definitely don't really exist. And the thing is, like AEW just came out with that new Toon, whatever the hell line that's like.
Oh, the U2s?
Yeah, they're like Funko Pops, but
that's a line that's not an AEW line. That's an existing thing. They've been making stuff for years.
They make a lot of stuff, but
yeah.
I don't know. I guess they couldn't get that Funko license, right? WWE holding that one hostage?
Well, I think something happened when they made the New Japan versions of the Bucks, Cody, and Kenny, and then WWE. I had heard that WWE was like, it's either us and only us, or never us again. And they went, all right, WWE.
Yeah, but even we get those toys now. We're not going to get the Figure Fighters toys. It would be cool. We're just not. But I'm enjoying the game. I'm going to keep going. I'll keep giving you updates on that. GMP 24 episode 6 drops this week. Reloaded was the pay-per-view. Came out last week. I had a lot of fun with that one. We crowned some champions. I cleaned up the damn place. AJ Styles is your world champion, as it should be in every promotion everywhere.
Chelsea Green.
I entered the Royal Rumble as Chelsea Green.
I'm sorry. As who?
Chelsea Green. I can't do it as good.
But we also have every time.
A lot more fun stuff on Patreon. OMG came out last week where we did it a little differently. We went through Fortnite, but we did it in a way where it was one-on-one, but we were playing various maps against each other. I was kind of showing George some of mine. He showed me some of his. You know what I'm saying? And then we
phrased that like 100 better ways than what you did.
And then we ran a duos game. We did pretty well, and that's
choked at the end.
George choked at the end, but you'll be able to see that on our Patreon coming up. So that's a lot of fun. But George, we're here for one reason and one reason only. We're going to talk about mini games today. Not only the games that have actual, like a game mode called mini games. We'll talk about those. But we're going to also talk briefly about pin, submission, all the mini games we've gotten through the years in 2K and everything in between. Are you ready?
I never thought that we'd be doing a mini game deep dive, but here we are. So ready. Let's go.
Looking to add the newest wrestling figures to your lineup? There's no better spot to pick up your next figure than the Wrestling Collector Shop.
Started by collectors for collectors around the globe, Wrestling Collector Shop has been serving the fans the latest and greatest in wrestling action figures since 2002. So the next time you're looking for the newest wrestling collectible to add to your collection, make sure to go to WrestlingCollectorShop.com and use code GameMarks to save yourself 10% on your order.
That's 10% off your order with code GameMarks at WrestlingCollectorShop.com.
All right, the deep dive. Brought to you by our friends over at Wrestling Collector Shop. You just heard the ad tell you. I'm going to remind you one more time. Use code GameMarks and save yourself 10% over at WrestlingCollectorShop.com. Johnny Clash, what do we have in the way of a giveaway courtesy of Wrestling Collector Shop?
All right, last week we gave away that Chelsea Green Elite, which was very, very sought after.
Oh, yeah.
But this week, we're giving away this Elite 106 Roxanne Perez. All you have to do is head on over to our Instagram at GameMarksPod, find the pinned post. Now, wait for the pinned post to actually be posted. It comes out Monday at 8 a.m. Follow us and tag 2 friends to enter. That's it. That's all you have to do, and you are entered to win this Roxanne Perez figure free from the Wrestling Collector Shop.
Oh, man. All right, here we go.
Boy.
There are, like John said earlier, there are multiple types of mini games. There's a big distinction between what is a mini game, what is a quick time event. These are mini games that could also be interpreted. I think they're mini games. They're phrased at they're in certain games they're described as quick time events, and in certain games they're described as mini games. So for the argument,
And to catch you all up, George is describing what a mini game is. It's not a quick time event, it's a mini game. In case he didn't make that crystal clear. Oh yeah.
well, you've seen that in the other games though, where they refer to one as the other. It's the same thing. I just want to make sure everyone knows.
Okay, let's talk about the pin mini game.
All right.
It goes back as far as we could remember. SmackDown versus Raw series. Even some of the older games did have it. Some of them are completely trash and suck. I could vouch for that. I'm just bad at them. I can't hit them. The only one I was ever good at is back in the day when it was the wheel and you had to stop on the bar, the green little highlight, but I was only good at the last man standing of those because I had 10 tries.
But wait, why don't you like that in the game now?
The wheel?
Yeah.
Because there's a much easier option now. We're going to get to that. But to try to stop on that wheel 3 times after you got hit with a couple finishers, it's impossible.
Oh, yeah. But now that's kind of reworked in 2K24 as the, I don't know what the actual thing is called.
Is it a quick time event?
No, it's the booyah spot.
Right, yeah. Well, that's down below. We'll get to that. So the wheel, you stop it on the green bar, you kick out. Cool, whatever. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like it. I always turned it off and just chose the button mash option when available. Fight Forever, they have the meter that bounces back and forth, and you got to stop it on the gold bar. A little easier, but also kind of the same concept. Now, do you remember, I think it's this year's also, and last year's, maybe 22 as well. It was the bar that bounced between, and it got smaller and bigger, and you had to stop that.
Yeah, that's the one that we had, and then you were like, I'm not playing the game this.
No way. But see, this one I have down below here, that's the one I like. The new one, it's just fills up into, like, the green expands, and once it hits the outside, you kick out. I feel like it's just easier. It's a button mash. But button mash you could see. I like that you could see it because it helps you. But there's also that resilience mode that I lean heavily on.
But this was my problem with the button mashing, fill the circle, kick out method, is that it's very similar to another type of minigame, which is, I almost want to say it's been around longer than it hasn't, which is the submission style minigame where you button mash as well.
Think about Raw and Royal Rumble on the SNES. Even that had a meter. It wasn't necessarily a pin and submission meter, but they had that meter over the head for the grapple.
Yeah.
Now, you could never have that now because it would just take way too long.
Now, okay, so...
But technically, that's one of these mini games.
But, so, your preference for submission, for the submission, do you like the button mash, or do you like the other way, which was like, I think one of my friends called it the duck duck goose.
What's the duck duck goose?
It's the rings where you have to like spin the rings around and try to like fill the bar. He's like, why are we playing duck duck goose?
No,
I was like,
I don't like that. That was in UFC as well. I have that here.
Yeah.
That was in UFC with the wheel, but also UFC now has like a little half moon that it does the same thing where you use the R and the L triggers and you have to like try to catch the other guy. It's like cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Also not good, but as you catch it, it gets bigger. If me and you were to play that, it would be impossible. We would just be bouncing all over. Computer players,
it's too much.
It's a little easier. But when WWE put that in, that was just, that was something.
It's just, I like the method of swapping buttons for the submissions, where it's press B, press A, press X.
I do like that.
It climbs through. It's
mashing, but you think.
It's mashing where it's not the exact same minigame as the pinning minigame. Because I know all you're doing the entire time is just destroying your A button the entire time.
Exactly. And I like that they use that for almost everything now. Even the comeback, you have to guess the move that's coming up on the screen. If
Well,
your
you know what the
opponent hits
best
it
possible
first,
thing is? That there's options.
there's options. And I like options. As someone who cannot stand that pin, I like it. Now,
You should just be like, however the game was, it's how the game was. You weren't able to like go into the options and be like,
Yeah.
I don't like this style of pinning minigame. I want the other one. You'd be like, this is how it is in this game, and that's you got to deal with it.
Now I want you to look at the one down below here. This is Day of Reckoning. I'm not sure one or two. I think two.
I
But
do remember this.
There were options to either use a submission hold, use a taunt submission that would boost your energy, use a draining submission that just works that body part, or a rest hold where you regain your stamina. So that was kind of
Different.
confusing, different. I don't think I ever really got a grasp on it because I just wanted to use the submission as a submission. But pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Let's talk about back in the day of the SmackDown vs. Raws, the earlier ones. We had Test of Strength battle where you have to first correct button press wins. So whatever comes up on the screen is what wins, and you just keep going with the Test of Strength. There's a shoving contest, a stare down battle, which is always fun. But now you were talking about the trading blows from the new game with the boo and the yay. There is the wheel. That old pin meter is back.
They found a way to repurpose it.
I like it. It starts with the big green section you have to stop the bar in, and then you'll punch. Then it's the next guy's turn. As you go, it gets smaller and smaller, but then a little yellow bar appears, and that's the move that will finish the sequence. So if you could hit that, you hit a bigger move, and you're done. I like it. I can't usually hit that yellow one, but I think it's cool.
Do you remember? I don't see it on the list, but I don't remember exactly if it qualifies as a mini game or if it was just like timed option selecting. The promos when you used to be able to grab, does that do you think that would count as a mini game, or is it just like a timed option?
No, I meant to put that on here.
I thought I was remembering it wrong. I was just like, it's been so long since that's been in a game. What is that like? Is that SmackDown vs. Raw, or is that just when it was like early 2K?
It might be.
I think that's early 2K.
I'm not sure. Could be both. Now, what was that other one? Matt Mania, I think it was, where you have to actually go backstage and train. Could you consider those mini games?
Yep.
Because you're training, you're leveling up, you're using your
technically.
Power. Yeah. It's the same as when I mentioned this to our Discord, they brought up UFC games. How technically there's mini games when you're in career mode.
Oh yeah, like you gotta do the sparring. And
to me, they're so
combos.
Boring. I like just skipping them, putting them on auto, just skipping. There was one year in NHL where they made you do every single mini game. Now, I think they're all sim. I don't think you do any of them at all. I think it's just, you're going to do a free skate and boost your agility attribute. You just press the button. That's it. You just earn the points to do it. You don't have to actually do it. But when they make you actually do that stuff, it is brutal.
Yeah,
the old UFC games were very bad with that.
Yeah, I remember the old UFC games. They used to make you. It wasn't even so much that they would make you do the sparring part, because at least in like the last couple in career mode, you do, you're sparring and you'll practice like specific combos, or you'll fight against someone who is, specifically trained in a style of martial arts that you're trying to either defend or, get better defense or offense. And I remember in like the early ones, it was like, all right, you're going to go to the gym and lift weights. And it was just like a weightlifting mini game. And it's just like, why? Why does this have to be? I don't want to like button mash a combo, like play like DDR on my PlayStation controller to lift weights in UFC.
Now, hang on. There's one I think I forgot about.
Uh-oh.
The X Division Ultimate X match.
Is that a mini game? I guess it is. It's like if the bar fills and you have to.
I'm trying to look. I don't exactly remember what the bar looks like.
Just cage climbing?
Yeah,
or grabbing the ladder, or grabbing the money in the bank.
I think that all counts. Why wouldn't it?
Oh no, it's just I think more things are classified as minigames than
I think they have to be because back then, like think of No Mercy, SmackDown, they were just button mashing.
Yeah.
But
No
now-
Mercy is just button mashing.
I think I could go back to Legends of Wrestling. There was the mini game where you had to. I guess mini game might not be the right word for it, but that's what we're gonna keep calling it, and I don't care who gets mad at it. But it has to fill up, and even now, your climb. The bar fills up. You have to press X, A, whatever comes up on the screen. It fills. Then you go to the next level where you're maybe now sitting on top of the cage. You have to do the same thing all the way till you get out. It's a mini game. I accept it.
I would think that that's a mini game.
I definitely accept it. Now I have a TNA video pulled up here. Let's see. Yeah, it's the meter and the button's in the middle, and you have to stop the little pointer right in the middle on the button it says. So
I'm looking at it too.
Definitely mini game. And now we have the casket, the ambulance door. George, do you see this one down below? Bra and panties matches back in the old SmackDown vs. Raw games. We don't get those anymore because it was very weird to have in a video game. But it was the same meter where it would go up and down, and you would have to stop it in that yellow field, and whatever happened next.
So here's what I'm learning.
Wild.
Here's what I'm learning by talking through all of these styles of mini games, whether they be submission based, striking based, whatever. You're either getting one of three options. You're either getting straight up button mash to fill a bar. You're either getting a button mash combo, or you're getting some sort of bar related stopping.
Yeah. But
along a
look at our chat right now. The ladder match. That's one of the different ones because
that's
it's
a ring, yeah.
The ring, the wheel,
and you have to
you stop it.
Get the ball.
It's almost like when you used to play Splinter Cell and you used to have to pick a lock.
Yes.
So
I just heard the sound of the Splinter Cell goggles, like that.
Oh, what a
that just like played in my head immediately.
The ball has to stop in the little crevice, and then once you fill each, I don't know, whatever you want to call them, that's when you win. But it carries over. So say you get 5 out of the 6 or whatever it is, and someone knocks you down. They climb up. They only need to get one. I kind of like that.
That's fun. It's a little agent of chaos in the middle of a match.
Yeah.
You pick your time right. You get back up there. You can have your opponent do most of the work.
And we covered that. We covered the whole history of the ladder match. So go check that out.
We did best and worst of ladder matches.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the actual mini-games. Let's start here with SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. For the PSP. This is some of the weirdest stuff I've ever seen in any wrestling game ever. You get the WWE Game Show, where you test your knowledge of wrestling fans by offering 500 multi-layered wrestling questions. The WWE Game Show covers every wrestling topic imaginable, including costumes, trends, music, finishers, styles, history, feuds, and more. Now, 500 questions sounds like a lot, but it is not, especially if you play this game a couple times.
I would say if you play, it also depends on how many questions you get in a game.
Yeah, I feel like you could breeze through that and get some repeats real quick. There's also poker and Texas Hold'em in there, and then this might be my favorite one ever: Eugene's airplane spin, where you just navigate Eugene around the ring and you have to get the fastest time. So you start at the ramp and you just go down the ramp and you have to balance him until he gets to the finish point.
And then years later, WWE would turn something very similar to that into an NXT minigame.
NXT was literally minigames.
Do you remember that? They had them do the thing where they stood on the top of the ramp, they spun around with their head on the bat, and then they had to run an obstacle course around the ring.
I can't believe that show became what NXT is today. Really, they could have named the new show anything, but they chose to just redeem what that show was.
And our friend Swoggle was a pro.
Who was his rookie?
Titus, I think.
Was it Titus? Oh my god.
Oh no, maybe did Broski have Titus?
Let's
Who
see.
did Broski have?
Hornswoggle NXT. Yeah, it looks like he had Titus and AJ Lee.
Who did Broski have?
I don't know. If I Google Zack Ryder NXT, I'm gonna get the Hype Bros.
No, if you Google Zack Ryder NXT rookie.
Mojo?
No, it's Titus O'Neil.
Huh.
At least it looks like it
Yeah, I
says
don't know.
that.
Hey, you know what? I don't give a shit. Let's move on. AEW Fight Forever came out almost a year ago, which means in the next month or two, we're going to be covering it. It's officially hitting that 1 year threshold. But within that game is a whole bunch of mini games. You run into them in your career mode. You run into
some of them are
if you choose them, and there's a lot of them. I only have a small list here because this is all I could find, but me and George just played this. This is on our YouTube channel for today's game. We played through a bunch of them. I believe 6 we played through.
Yep.
But you got Chip Gather, where you run around the ring gathering chips. Not potato chips like Hook. They're like little poker chips. You got a pop quiz, which is just you answer the right question in the fastest time. The computer's always really good at it for some reason. There's Penta Says, which is like the old Pokemon Stadium game, right? Wasn't there one?
Yeah, there was.
It's like Simon Says, you have to guess.
I'm trying to think of what the Pokemon
rhythm
was that did it.
Unless I'm just thinking Mario Party, because it was definitely in there too.
Lickitung had the sushi game.
Oh, that was the best game. There's Pit Drop, where the goal is to knock players out of the ring into the ball pit and be the last one standing. Now, the thing is, it's teams of two. Clefairy says, yes. It's teams of 2, but at the end, they fight each other, and they do this really weird squat thing to get away from each other.
Yeah, that's... The Mario Kart or the Mario Party version is you're on the ball. It's like bouncy something, and like the whole point of it is you like just like bang off of each other, and eventually it's like King of the Hill.
It's
this was not that. It was trying to be that, but it was not that.
What was the one? It was Mario Party. I think you're on like the ball, right? And you have to bounce.
What are you, me?
Did you just say that?
This is what I do to you.
And then there's Steal the Show, where 4 competitors are placed in a ring and tasked with taunting in one of the spotlights that appear. Egg Hunt, where you start on the opposite corners of each other, and when the game begins, you rush to different colored eggs. These are all really, really bad games.
When
card
you describe
matching,
them, they actually sound worse.
It's like coloring book games, like card matching. Where's Spot the Difference? Where's Orange Cash?
This is Highlights magazine.
Yeah. Sheeta's Slugfest. Let's talk about it.
This was arguably the best part of the whole game.
This was the worst game I've ever played in my life. I'm used to like MLB The Show, like waiting for the timed pitches. I went a few whole games without even hitting the ball.
Is it one of the mini games that's so bad it's good?
It was good. If I would just sit there and play any, it would probably be this one. Or MJF's Car Smash, whatever that one was.
Oh, MJF Car Smash was...
It's like red light, green light, but you're smashing a car. Not like WrestleMania 19 smashing a car. You're just kicking it, and if he turns around, you're probably getting caught.
I think it's actually meant to be like a tribute to the Street Fighter game, where you would like in between like the midway point, you do the bonus level where you beat up the car. But also,
I can see that Kenny Omega
MJF
throwing that in there,
scolding the crowd with a
and
amazing promo.
There was also the Angry Birds type game where you launch off the top rope with a springboard into like tables and chairs and explosives. There's the one where you throw the explosives in the ring. There's so many of them.
I feel like every time you play, you unlock more, and then every time they release something, they release more.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care for them, to be honest. When I played through Road to the Elite or whatever it's called, I think I might have done 2 of them. I never did them for the extra points.
Well, let me ask you this. So we've arrived at the point where it's time for us to give our ratings. Here's what I would like to do. obviously, every time we do one of these best and worst ofs, we give our favorites. But since we talked about multiple different styles and categories of these minigames, I would like to know your favorite pin, your favorite submission, and then if there's one that stands out as particularly memorable that isn't a pin or submission, and then give me your favorite from Fight Forever.
Okay. My favorite pin is the current pin. My favorite submission is just honestly the current one, where you have to fill it up and tap the buttons that come up.
Yep.
My favorite Fight Forever one, probably the baseball or the slingshot. And then my favorite alternate, I like the comeback. Because you could hit it out of nowhere. You could hit it. Even if you mess it up, you can get it again. It comes up on the screen. Y, you have to press Y before your opponent. And then B, and then X. And then you get your comeback. You get a finisher. I like it. Actually does change the momentum. In the old games, Day of Reckoning, it would drain your opponent's energy and give it to you.
Yep.
Which was fun. So those are, I think, my favorite. I do also like the trading blows. That one's a fun one.
That's the one. That's my standout one.
Yeah.
Is the booyah
All right,
mechanic in 2K24. So I like the stopping on the bar pinning mini game. I like that one the best. I like I'm with you on the submission one. I think the pressing the random buttons in the sequence is great, especially because it there's like a tug of war system. Is that like a good analogy for it?
Yeah.
And then I'm going Sheeta's Slugfest for Fight Forever, and then the Booyah system in 2K24 is so fun. And we played a match in GMP 24 where it happened like 4 times in the match, but every time I was like, I don't know why this is so it wasn't repetitive. It just felt fun because it's just like at any point you or I can screw up and you may have won the last one, but now I'm going to win this one and change the tide. And then in a couple minutes, we may do it again.
I agree. I like it. And those are mini games. There's probably a ton we are forgetting. Let us know if we are.
Maybe we're not including part 2.
We're not including game modes, and we're not including full on releases. We're not John Cena's Fastlane is not a mini game. That's it's
Crush Hour.
All right, but are you ready for the soft lock question of the week?
Yep. All right, the soft lock brought to you by our friends over at W. Use code GameMarksPod to save yourself 10% at w.gg. The soft lock is the segment on the podcast where one of our mega marks from Patreon gives us a question to answer, a topic to debate. It's a question of the week with a fancy name. This week, it comes from the Elder Spork, Mr. Best Batch Promotions himself. Has there ever been a minigame in all of video games that you thought would make a great standalone game? He says that he always wished they took Blitzball out of Final Fantasy X and made a whole game out of it. That's a good one. That's something I actually forgot how great Blitzball was. So thank you for reminding me of that. I 100% agree with that. I think that's a fantastic idea.
This is tough because there are a lot of mini games that wouldn't stand alone. And then think about it in wrestling terms. Battlegrounds happened. Could have been a great mini game. Was a standalone game. Flopped.
But think about some of the games in Mario Party. There's some really good ones that maybe have really standalone.
But would you play a full game of just those? Wii
of
Sports,
just one single game?
Yeah, I don't think. See, now NHL 94 was put into one of the old NHL games. It came with it. I thought that was pretty cool. That's opposite, but man,
Blitzball is a good one. I'm trying to think. Was there mini games in? It's like an Ape Escape mini game in Metal Gear Solid 3. There was a mini game in Metal Gear Solid 3.
There is the Madden. I forgot what it was called. Superstar KO or something. There's also, it's called something else in the newer ones. It's like the street version, but you're on like a really cool looking field, and it's 5-on-5 or whatever, like 2-hand touch style almost. But you do like these insane plays.
I would like. What I don't know how you would do this, but what if it was like a full game of all, like, they're not mini games, they're part of the sports, but like it was an entire game, but all it was like shootouts, free throws. Like it was all of like the more dramatic aspects of, it was like RBI or home run derby, slap shot, or my God, I can't talk. Home run derby, shootouts, free throws. I don't know. What would you say?
There was
punts?
Something.
I don't know what the field goals.
NHL Hits 03. I think it was, hockey school mode with Scotty Bowman. It would be stuff like that. Like you're on the street and you would have to hit like the four corners and all that. Kind of like give me like the NHL All-Star game as a mini game.
I like that.
Give me the skating competition, all the BS that the players actually hate.
Yeah. I think that's my answer. Give me all the dramatic high intensity sections of like all the big sports in a mini game where it's just like all those like classic key moments.
Yeah. I'm with it. I like all of that. As far as wrestling games though, give me the AEW Slingshot.
That could be
Give
good
me
as
a full Angry Birds game of just that.
Handheld?
It worked so
Mobile?
well for WWE.
You want full console, handheld, mobile?
I'll take mobile. Yeah.
I was say that sounds like
There's no handhelds for that
game.
at this point. But all right.
The shred. Oh my God, what's the Derby game?
I don't remember.
There's the one where you're on the skateboard and you're racing around the ring. That could be a fun little.
Oh yeah, like a little
game.
Tony Hawk type thing.
Yeah, I like that one too. That one could work as a
like the old
mobile
Rocket Power Flash game.
There you go. Let us know both your favorite mini games from the world of wrestling, and also what one you would take out of any game to make it a full-on release, and then what console you put it on, a full console, handheld, or a mobile game. But with that, John, let the fine people at home know what we are playing next week.
George, do you smell that? No? Because I smell what The Rock is cooking. We're playing WWE 2K14 next week.
Goosebumps, John?
Surprised we haven't played this one yet. It's taken us this long, but here we go. We're going back. 2K14. It's one that's been on my radar for a long time.
Oh, okay. So this is on 2K14 is on PS3?
PS3 and 360.
All right. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Going to be a good time.
One of the better ones.
Forward to it. Oh, yeah. Guys, youtube.com. If you want to see me and John play through a bunch of the Fight Forever mini games, you want to watch GMP 24 and any of the other playthroughs that we've done throughout the years of doing this podcast, that's all available at youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for our shirts. If you're listening to this on Monday, today is the last day, I believe, of the Memorial Day sale. So please go and check out all of our shirts. Patreon.com/PodExchange for this show. Early and ad-free access to show notes and shared content between this podcast, Going Postal, and State of Affairs at Game Marks Pod on all forms of social media. And please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. And we will see you in the next one. Johnny Clash, do that thing.
Game over, Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no game shard. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.